Hello and welcome to the Luscious Living Podcast. I'm your host, Celine Vilgan, holistic nutrition consultant and the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. All right, everyone, welcome to the Luscious Living Podcast. I have an honored guest on the show, Felicia Bender. This is her third time with me. We've known each other for a few years now. And Felicia, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom and your energy. I'm just so excited to have you here. Thank you.
Well, I am thrilled to be here again and to see you and to have these conversations. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So I have been really looking forward to this. I keep having comments from years ago of the podcast on numerology. And so, Felicia, for those who have never ever heard your backstory about how you got into numerology, this was not something you had started from from the start, right? How did you get into the world of numerology?
Well, I always say, how long have you got? And yet, really the basis of this is any of you out there listening, I would dare say probably have your own story about this sort of thing where there is some kind of crisis, right? We have these spiritual dark nights of the soul, something that happens to us that moves us into something like this, right? For me, it was in my early 30s. My mom died and she was quite young, and it left, it was one of those moments where it just really broke me open, and it made me question everything. And so many things, there was a lot of hurt there because there was, she had kind of spiraled with some addictions, and we weren't, speaking. And it was just one of those things that you don't want to have when your mom passes away, right? And I had considered us to be fairly close at certain points in our lives. So with that said, I just went on this spiritual gauntlet. I started reading everything I could about intuition, about healing, about medical intuition, about herbs, all of it, right? You're shaking your head. And so I think that it really pushes us to open that door, and we get really, because before that, I've got to tell you, I would never have pursued anything, and I'm using air quotes right now, spiritual, right? And I even remember one time a person I knew who was actually younger than me at that point, and she was really into the I Ching. And I didn't know anything about it. I really didn't care. And she was just all over it. She was so jazzed, and she kept saying, come on, let's do this. I'll give you a reading. And I finally acquiesced. And I remember really, really vividly sitting there, slightly uncomfortable, not knowing what to expect. And she says, all right, now you have to ask a question. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, what kind of question? She's like, a question about your life. And at that point, literally, I had no questions. Like, just the thought of having a deeper question about my life was just nothing I could even conceptualize. I don't even remember what my answer was to her at that point. If now that I reflect on it, I'm like, what did I tell her? What did I even say? And so that gives you an idea about where I was starting, right? And then flash forward later, I trained to do an energy modality called pranic healing. I practiced that in an office and did that. And then I kept moving through things and thinking, well, this is great and I love this, but it's not really it for me quite yet, right? So the kicker here is that I have a PhD in theater. I have done other things in my life, real estate things, all kinds of other things. And yet My daughter was in college and she was struggling with finding a major. I was at a bookstore, a book kind of popped off the shelf about intuition and career and all of that. So I opened it up just on a whim. I went and got it for her and I read it beforehand, and it had some numerology in it. The life path and the personal year. And I don't know what it was, because I will tell you, and you know this about me, anything having to do with numbers or math was an absolute no-go for me. Math was my worst subject, my most anxiety-producing subject. So if you would have thrown me a book on numerology, I would have burned it in the fire. I would have said, no, I am tossing it out the window. This is not for me. I don't want anything to do with it. And so it was really kind of this funny cosmic joke that it was slipped in unbeknownst to me. And then I really started reading the descriptions, and I don't know what it was, but it just clicked. Because I'm very practical, pragmatic, and also on more of the spiritual side of things. So I have this kind of interesting balance that I'm always forging with myself. And numerology to me was something that was like, oh, you don't have to be a psychic, basically. You don't have to sit in a corner and ohm forever. You don't have to, all that. This is something you could just refer to. You could just get a book on it and you can go, oh, what was that? And you could go look it up, and then you can begin to apply it. So for me, it is a language. Rather than math, because if you think about numerology, for those of you out there who are like, what is numerology? It sounds horrifying, because again, it has to do with math, and it doesn't. If any of you were paying attention in math class, which I certainly wasn't. The kind that I use, there are different kinds of numerology, first of all, out of the gate, but the kind I use comes from Pythagoras, and he was on the Pythagorean theorem of geometry, all of the other things. He was a mystic. He had a school of people who they would do these trainings. He was very into music, into frequency, into astronomy and astrology, all of these different things. And so basically it's his conception that of what we practice for Pythagorean numerology, which is that numbers carry with them not only a quantitative value, you can count with them, right? 1 apple, 2 apples, and so on. But that numbers carry with them a vibration and a frequency. They are containers of data. And so you can say, well, oh, come on. What does that mean? Well, what it means is I think we can really go into that more willing suspension of disbelief in our age of technology. I mean, excuse me, we are getting into AI like crazy right now, right? How weird can we get?
Right.
And how much of things that no one could ever thought were ever possible are absolutely possible. So to kind of gear back into numerology as an art and as a science, it basically shows us that everything is a mathematical equation in this way, and so even with computers, we've got the zeros and ones, and the concept that this is all there is, right? This is how we exchange data. You think about cell phone reception, like we use numbers to get to certain people, right?
Yes.
So it's the cloud, like, where is that? How does that work, right? So it basically is this idea that everything can be seen as in a more evolved way. Whenever these numbers show up, they're giving us information, they're giving us code. And in terms of with people, I am most interested in people, in how we operate, why we operate the way we do. And I have found that anyone that you listen to at this point, Gabor Mate, other people who who talk about trauma, who talk about addiction, who talk about anything in life will tell you, I think consistently, that the number one thing that people really want and need in life is a sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so with numerology, if it resonates with you, we can take your name as it appears on your birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also will take your date of birth. And there are calculations that we will do, very easy ones, as a matter of fact. And so we can create an overarching profile for you as a very distinctive individual, and how you are checking in this world, what you're here to learn, what your purpose is, how you're going to express that, what your soul really wants and desires. There are different ways of looking at cycles of time that we go through, what we're learning during those times, what the energy is that's supporting us, how we can optimize that, and also what the stumbling blocks are going to be. So it's a very, very in-depth tool. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you go, well, what could a number tell you? Well, it can tell you a lot. It can tell you a lot. So, that is really what happened to me. I found it, and it seemed like a tool that was just so pragmatic and also gave you a depth and breadth of knowledge. And I am one of those people that when I find something like that, I just really dive in head first. So that's what I did.
I am so inspired. I appreciate how much passion you have for this topic as well. And I'm curious, with your daughter, did it ever end up helping her with her major, or kind of like give her a little bit more clarity?
That's a good question. I'd love to just say, yes, it did. I don't know that she was ready for that kind of information at that point. So I think that would be my answer for that.
I love it. Well, and that's the thing. So for those who, got a taste of what numerology is, you also have a practical approach. So what would, how do you describe practical numerology to someone who's never really heard of what that even means?
Well, for me personally, and it's why I call myself the practical numerologist, I love this stuff, but if it can't help me here and now in this real physical the world that we find ourselves in, this 3D world,
Yes.
We're here for a reason, and we chose to be, humans. And so how do we do that? How do we make the best of it? How can we, feet on the ground, take this information and help me figure out what my purpose is, and how to engage that, how to have better relationships, how to understand myself and my motivations and all of those things, right? Yes. I mean, like right here, right now. Yes. And I love the spiritual world and all of that, but there's some kinds of esoteric, like, way out there, and there is a time and a place for that. Absolutely. No harm, no foul at all. And yet for me, I think people really, truly, truly want some kind of practical, pragmatic advice that they can stand on and actually use in their daily existence.
So much agreed. Numerology for me has been such a game changer. Understanding my life path number is so validating, my heart's desire, and all of these different facets, and help me understand other people. So, for example, would you recommend that people start off with understanding their life path number? What would you recommend for someone to start with their numerology?
Absolutely, because knowing your life path number is like, I would compare it to knowing your sun sign in astrology. So if you're only going to know one, it's one of those things. It's like, hey, what's your sign? And everyone always knows I'm a Sag, or I'm a Scorpio, or whatever it is. I mean, even people who do not believe in astrology, they know their sign, right? So they may not know what it means, or they may not want to use it, but they know what it is. So in numerology, this is also an easier calculation because it comes from your date of birth. So with the date of birth, the very basic way to add this up, if you're out there and you're like, well, what is my life path? Well, here's how you calculate it. Do you mind if we use yours?
Let's do it.
All right. So November 14th, 1991 is going to be our example. All right. November, we're going to add a little bit of depth here, because November is a number 11. It's the 11th month. And in numerology, there are numbers called master numbers. Those are the repeating digits, 11, so the double 1, 22, which is the double 2, 33, and so on. And yet, for this calculation, I would not reduce the 11. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I would keep it as an 11. And so what we're doing out there, just like, well, what are you talking about reduce? Okay, let me back up and introduce it maybe with a little more clarity, which is what we're doing is we're taking your month of birth, your day of birth, and your year. Then we're going to take each of those numbers and reduce it. Then we're going to add those 3-digit numbers together. In numerology, we are always continuing to reduce to a 1-digit number. There are some exceptions there, and yet overall, that is what we're doing. So in this scenario, November is an 11. We're going to keep it as an 11. Your birthday is the 14th. Now we get to add 1 plus 4. 1 plus 4 is 5. So that's our 1-digit for the 14th. 1991, this is the hardest math that you're going to get. Okay. So 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 plus 9 is 19. Plus 1 is 20. So 20. So you're like, well, I've got a 20. You continue to reduce. Okay. So 2 plus 0 equals 2. So now we're going to add those 3 numbers together. 11 plus 5, that is 16, plus 2, 17, 18. So we have an 18. Now remember our rule, we got to keep going. So 1 plus 8 equals 9. Now we have a 1-digit number. So you have a, or RA, depending on how you use the verbiage here, the verbal, the linguistics of it. You are a 9 life path.
And it is, so you, on your website, you have all of this as well, which I'll link. But I think, so for me, 9, and it is so crazy. When I remember looking at it, everything made sense. So
it is bizarre, isn't it? How it's, the numbers do not lie. And I've got to tell you that I will retain my enthusiasm for this modality until the day I die because of that, because it is, the numbers don't lie. I am simply this interpreter and a translator of it. But I will tell you that you just can't make it up, right? It's so intriguing.
It is intriguing. It is.
And the intrigue also is with, when we're talking about the numbers 1 through 9, once you know the basic defining qualities of each of those numbers, which take a little bit of practice, right? And yet, if you decide that that's something that's interesting to you, you can then begin to kind of plug them in wherever they show up. And for instance, I'm going to go a little off the chain. Some of you out there, if you're listening, might be like, well, I see 1111 all the time, right, on the clock, or I see this one repeating number, or I have a barrage of this. It's the same thing. If you know if you know what that means, you will understand the code. It's kind of like walking into a room. So you walk into a room, and there's Morse code going off.
Like the Matrix.
Right? Yeah. And if you don't know Morse code, you just are hearing static, right? You don't even know what's going on.
Yes.
And you walk out of the room and, well, whatever. If you walk into a room and you know Morse code, you are going to stand there and you're going to listen and you're going to understand the message that is being relayed. So
Yes.
it's exactly the same thing with understanding the numbers, because once you get a rudimentary, grasp around what the components are for each of them, you can really apply that whenever they show up, and it's fun. I mean, it's really
It is.
it's really fun. And with each of the numbers, there's always, of course, the bright and shiny, the optimal, the most opulent expression of that number, what we're always, shooting for in that. And then there's always going to be the opposition. There's always going to be either the overactive aspects of it or the underdeveloped, right? So the interesting thing is, as we talk about the numbers, you can think, oh, well, let's use an example. Let's use you as an example. Once again, you get to be a guinea pig. Isn't that great? So the 9 life path, number 9. Okay. So the 9 in numerology is a very sacred number. It is, if you think about it, we go from 1 to 9. And so it is endings. It is completions. It is the number of universal wisdom. It is known as, I call it the compassionate humanitarian. Learning about letting go, learning about the temporary nature of all things, and not only learning about it, but learning to love it. Not just to tolerate it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so 9s, in my study of numerology, I have to be very honest. The 9 is something that is the last number that I feel I really got a good handle around. And yet now that I've done this for a long time, I've got a really good handle around it, but sometimes it's odd to try to explain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is that 9s are quirky, charismatic, creative, wonderful weirdos.
Yep.
Right? And sometimes 9s get a little put off when they're called a weirdo, and I don't take it that way.
I fully embrace it.
Okay, good, because let's just even throw a few of these on the table to give you an idea of the energy, because we've got the super spiritual ones. Mother Teresa, right? No pressure.
Yep.
No pressure, all you 9s out there. Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi. Other people who have those propensities. We have Malala, who's the young woman who was shot and then is a galvanizer for women's education. We have Greta Thunberg, who, Asperger's. A little off the beaten track, right? In terms of that, I find that often happens with 9s. 9s don't fit,
right?
Because they don't fit, and they're not meant to. They're meant to kind of be on the margins so that they can be the champion of the underdog, so that they can understand all of humanity in all of its different ways that it shows up.
Know about that.
yeah. And then we've got the creatives, though. We've got Robin Williams. We have Jim Carrey, Anthony Hopkins, David Byrne of the Talking Heads, Adele, Millie Bobby Brown, who the actress. We've got Elvis Presley. So many people, and his daughter who just passed away, she was also a 9.
Was she? Okay.
Yes. And so the 9 just is they're the people that are volatile often. I mean, think about the Jim Carreys and the Robin Williams. They are right. They are tsunamis of energy. And yet you're watching them and you're like, I don't know if I want to be married to them, but I really I want what they've got, right? Because are so fascinating. They are so otherworldly in the way that they can express and that they can be. And underneath it all, also, just an example, I read a story one time about Robin Williams, who you wouldn't know, and he didn't ever, I gather, like announce it. But he had something that he demanded with every film that he did, that they would hire extras who were homeless people.
Mm.
And so the 9 is that heart-centered, someone who wants to be of service, selfless
100%.
service.
Mm-hmm.
And wants the world to be a better place. And so because of that, there can be a lot of, it can feel heavy. It can feel really frustrating. So a lot of 9s are like, I want humanity to be better, but to be really honest, I'm not really fond of people because they are disappointments, So there can be that sometimes. So but the 9 has so much, and you have this beautiful container of energy that, numerologically speaking, you have a lot of choice. You have a lot of past life wisdom and talents to draw from the grab bag. So often the 9 simply has to understand that and put their focus on what they would like to focus on. And that will also explain why so many 9s do so many things and do them so well. I mean, even if you look at someone like Anthony Hopkins, he's a 9, and an actor. He's an artist. He does amazing paintings, and he sells them. He is an exquisite pianist, and he is a composer of music, and he's had symphonies and everything play his compositions. I mean, all of these different levels of skills, talents, creative energy, and he just does it. Just goes and does it. I think 9s are also, do you sleep at night? Because a lot of 9s are night owls. No, I'm serious.
I used to have really bad insomnia. I've definitely gotten better, but sleep can be on and off sometimes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's often a time when 9s are super creative, though, in the nighttime hours. So I don't know.
It's so validating. This is why I wanted to have you on, because there are obviously from 0 to 9, but then there's the master numbers. When someone is able to actually understand these things about themselves, it's so validating and confirming, and you walk forward with more confidence. This is why I love, your website. You have courses, work with people, but I want to ask you a few more questions before we get to how people can connect with you. So we have life path numbers. What would you say a few things other, if someone finds out their life path number, what can it help them determine about, the stage of life that they're in right now?
So if they find their life path number and they want to know more about it and how that can help them out, or are you talking about the personal year?
You know what? I would actually love to talk to personal years as well. But really, so let's say someone's curious. They just heard my number 9.
Okay.
What can this life path number really help me identify in life and really my purpose?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. And I will attempt to do this in as brief a way as possible because those of you out there, so let's say you're a 1 life path. The 1 is that innovative creator. The 1 is all about number 1. The 1 is learning about self with a capital S, learning how to stand on your own 2 feet, all the I words, independence, individuality. You're the entrepreneurs, you're the pioneers. The stumbling blocks, self-esteem issues, or on the other end, can be too self-centered, too self-focused. So knowing that you're a 1, you're like, ooh, when am I a little too self-absorbed, self-centered, self-focused? Maybe my last 3 boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is, you said, you're really selfish and you never pay attention to my needs. Maybe I should pay attention to that, right? I mean, so when you have that, and again, this is not an insult. This is not saying you're a bad person or anything. This is what will come up for you and with you when you are a 1 life path, because you are meant meant to be a powerful leader. You are meant to be ahead of the game. You're meant to be productively disruptive. So you're going to be, I always say the one is the fail forward number. So ones can really get knocked down a lot and then stay on the ground. And so if you know that you are here for the school of hard knocks and it feels right, it can galvanize you. It can go, okay, all right, I'm gonna find tools. I'm gonna find ways to be more resilient, to learn how to become a good leader. You can start really pointing the arrow at those categories of personal development that will help you to do that. So if you're a two life path, you are kind of the opposite of the one. The two is the love bug. All about relationships, all about diplomacy, mediation, the peacekeepers, very highly sensitive, like so sensitive, and also very intuitive. So what are twos learning? Twos are learning how not to be taken advantage of. Twos are learning how to define themselves from the inside out and set boundaries. Twos are learning how not to define themselves by outside sources, right? And learning how to refine and define the way in which you relate, and being able to speak and be in the moment and say what you want. Right? As you go along. And so, as an example, sometimes twos are the people who they'll be dating someone, or even it's their husband or wife, and they're like, well, where do you want to go? Their husband or wife will say, where do you want to go for dinner? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't care. It's okay. Wherever you want to go.
I picture someone extremely close to me that is the quintessential two. And it helps me understand her better.
Yes. And so because you're wanting to please, you're wanting to, and you've got the twos have this barometer. They feel like they can really read everybody else. But first of all, sometimes that works, sometimes not. But second of all, they anticipate others can do it for them. And they can't. And then they're disappointed. And then they give and give and give and give and give. And then they withdraw with resentment, right? And the thing is that they'll go to that restaurant. So their husband, let's say it's their husband, and he goes to the burger bar again. And she's like, oh, dear God, internally. She's going, yes. I wanted sushi. Couldn't he read my mind that I wanted sushi tonight? And now I'm pissed, right? But so it's that sort of thing. And it sounds silly to say it out loud, but I am telling you what, it is not. And people with twos are really, that is a source of their life's work is learning how to do that.
This person I'm thinking of to a T.
Oh my gosh. And then, threes are the creative communicators. They are here to express, a creative self-expression, emotional sensitivity. They're meant to be in the spotlight. Anything with the written, the verbal word is right up their alleys. They're often, performers, counselors, presenters, musicians, artists, all of those sorts of things. The thing is, of course, what could possibly go wrong? A lot of self-doubt. A lot of analysis paralysis, a lot of emotional highs and lows, depression, that sort of thing can come in. A lot of melancholy because they feel things really, really intensely. And so they're here to actually feel their feelings rather than just think about them, right? And so the 3 is one of those numbers where a lot of threes would rather jump off a 20-story building than speak in front of people. And it's like, but they keep being pulled or pushed in that direction. I will work with threes who literally have stutters, who have speech impediments, who have, other things that are, it's kind of like that wonderful universal cosmic joke. It's like, oh, you're going to learn to express. Let's just see how you do this curveball, right?
Yes.
And your cosmic support team is sitting there on the front row of the theater with their popcorn and with their junior mints, and they're watching the show because they're going to see how you're going to do this. How are you going to manage this? And I have seen people on some of those audition shows, and I look them up, and one guy who won, and he stuttered, really, really, a major stutterer in real life, as soon as he started singing, nope, beautiful, absolutely. So many ways that this can show up for each of us, right, in our life path. How we're going to work with it. The 4 is the number of structure. It's kind of the teacher energy, all about limitations, kind of the box inside the box thinker, and the worker bee of the world. Very, very results oriented, accomplishment driven, and very, very much driven to seek out security, stability. These people are incredible. In terms of, even if we looked at some movie stars or celebrities, there are so many hard-working people who achieve in the world who are 4s, because they will not stop until it's done, you know. And what can possibly go wrong there? They are exhausted. They are self-limiting. They can just be. It's kind of like their lives can sometimes feel like the beach ball of death on your computer, you know, when things are just winding and nothing's happening and you're waiting, you know. That can often be a part of a 4's existence, because they're learning how to set goals, to take things seriously, to move forward, but also not to take themselves too seriously, and to take care of themselves, and to all of the things that go with that. 5s are the sensuous freedom seekers. They are here for the experience. Fun, fearlessness, adventure, travel, and it is the number of excess. So again, natural salespeople. These people are catalysts. They're versatile. They're multi-talented and dimensional. They've just got to rein it in, right? So on the one end, they can be really excessive, addictive, lacking focus, really self-absorbed, impulsive. On the other end, they can be really fearful, really paranoid, really self-limiting in that way. So they're learning how to be this fearless flyer in many ways. Right? The 6 is the home and family number in numerology. So if you're a 6, it's home, family, responsibility, duty, caretaking, that kind of self-sacrificing energy. A lot of interesting components to the 6. They're very into aesthetics. They want everything to feel very homey, nesty. They like things to be beautiful, right? In that way. They're also very justice driven. Every fairness, justice, or, is a very important thing to them. And they're visionaries. They're very creative and visionaries. But at the end of the day, they're the responsible ones. They're the nurturing people, very creative. Their Achilles heel is being very judgmental, perfectionists, and really, really high levels of expectations that no one ever can meet. Like ever. And usually their expectations are most severely lodged on themselves, right? So you gotta really learn that. 7s are analysts. They are spiritual seekers, and yet sometimes reluctantly so. I find with the 7s, all you 7s out there, you're like, well, I am listening to this podcast, so I count. And they are, of all the numbers, they are the ones who are on their most internal journey. I always really like to look at their other numbers to see how it's going to situate, even more so than others, because I find that 7s can be janitors, or they could be, multi-billionaires, and it's all what's going on the inside. That's counting for them. They're very data driven, very skeptical in a healthy way when it's the healthy part. They see things in a very black and white kind of Big Bang Theory kind of way. A lot of Sheldon energy. It's like, well, if this isn't right. So there's a little bit of an emotional detachment often there. They look like they're from another planet, another wavelength, and they usually really are. They're processing everything. They're asking those questions. It's a know thyself lifetime for 7. So again, in alignment, they are these wisdom keepers. They are usually drawn to spiritual work in some way, shape, or form, or analysis, or both. good teachers and everything else as well. And on the other end, they can be really frustrated. They can be very superficial, and they can be all in their head and have no trust. They're working on trust and vulnerability in that way. Again, lifelong, right? Eights are the money number, basically, even though it's so much more than that. It's the empowered manifester. Power and empowerment even takes precedence to me, other than money, but it is money, power, control, authority. These people are large and in charge. They are the ones who, the executives, they're the leaders, the CEOs, the CFOs. They're the ones who want respect. They want the influence. They want the finer things. So they often have a love-hate relationship with money, right? More so than the average bear, let's say. They can be really domineering, very intimidating. Okay. And on the other end, they can be the scarcity-minded ones who never get a break. They're the victims. They're the one who money is a big issue because they don't have any, right? So they're meant to empower themselves. It's kind of a butt kicker in terms of a life path number. Those of you eights out there, you're like, yeah, tell me something I don't know, right?
I have a very close family member who is an 8, and you just described her perfectly as well. That's so funny. It's illuminative. It truly, that's the word I would describe, especially when it's yourself and you may be identified with Felicia brilliantly explaining these. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, obviously. I think it's so fascinating. And I wish that, I remember when I was like 20, I would have loved to know something like that, even at any age, but especially it's like a roadmap in a way. But that's not all. There's heart's desire numbers, there's personal year numbers, there's, I remember I've gotten an in-depth reading one time this is years and years ago, and I got to see the depth that numerology can go into. And then also there's personal months, right? And personal years that we have universally. Can you share with us a little bit about 2023 as a collective year as well?
Absolutely, because the at the highest end of this hierarchy, so to speak, is the universal year. So that's kind of the umbrella energy that we are all globally going through. And numerologically speaking, of course, very easy math. We just take 2023. That is the year that we're in right now that we're speaking. You and I are speaking in 2023. I don't know when you're listening to this, when it will be, but right now it's 2023. And so 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 equals 7. So you even heard me talk about the number 7, right? I was talking about it being this very spiritually activated, very analytical as a life path, kind of the Big Bang Theory kind of thing. Well, let's transfer that and translate it into, what if this shows up as kind of the water you're swimming in, right? What if it's just the energetic pool that you are being supported with or guided by in a year? And so the universal year kind of asks us to feel into that immersive energy that all of us are in globally. I like to look at it as what's going on politically. What's going on globally? What are our global relationships? What's going on in the news? What are the things that are going on more worldwide in that way? What are the topics that are taking the front seat right now? So that's kind of how we can reflect on, in my opinion, the universal year. And yet for this year, the universal year, this is a very interesting time for us globally, where we're being asked to really step back.
I just got shivers.
And process for a minute. And I just said something about AI, but I remember just today seeing a headline about even Elon Musk is saying,
I saw that.
Wait a minute, wait. We cannot just let this tiger out of the cage without having some concept about what we're doing.
Totally.
Right? That is very 7 universal year. It's about bridging in science and spirituality. Science, and so it's the left brain and the right brain. It is our need to have, scientific methodologies, those sorts of things, and yet also begin to look, process, recognize, and utilize more alternative, and that's the worst word, right? Alternative, because in eras past, that's not an alternative at all. It actually is the way it is. But to look to see how we can be more balanced, right?
Wow.
With science and with the spiritual world. And I also look at that in terms of how we are dealing with each other globally as a global community. Do we want to be a global community, or do we want to blow each other up, or do we want to, I mean, and those things are really processing and percolating this year too. We've got, mass shootings once again in the US. We've got the continuing conflict in Ukraine. We have other things going on. China. I mean, all kinds of these very real, very volatile things that are happening. And the 7 is really asking us to step back, to do our research, gather knowledge, not take the one thing floating on the internet as truth, to really take the time to really, really and even to take the time to stand back and determine if you're even asking the right questions.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, we could talk about that for a long time, but that is the umbrella energy that we can kind of engage with through numerology for the universal year. And then if you want something so we're all in that container, because all of that's going on, whether we're directly participating in it or not. And then we have our personal year, which is more of that immediate energy that each of us will deal with individually. So you're kind of, all of us have the 7 experience globally this year. And yet what will feel even more immediate is your personal year number and vibe that you've got going on.
And that alone, I always look up my personal year on your website and I look at, okay, what is the theme, the major themes that will be going on this year for me, and be able to be conscious of it. I think it's just so helpful. And so is there numerology then within, say, a relationship where there's the years that go by, or the house number, or like, would you pick an important travel date, or a wedding date, a business launch date, or something like that around numerology?
Oh, absolutely. Again, it's going to move with everything else that you're doing. I'm a numerologist, but I say if you are so wrapped up in all of this that you can't, think or move or do anything without consulting your chart, then you need to chill out for a minute, right? You need to live your life and come back when it can inform you in a positive way, not make you paranoid, right? So that's my personal thought around that. And yet, absolutely, it is a great way to I actually work with entrepreneurs and that sort of thing, doing your full chart to see really where what your purpose is, what your passion is entrepreneurially, and then also to look at timing and look at that sort of thing, and to look at your business name. Sometimes if you already have your business name, we could look at it numerologically and see what it brings to the table. And that might explain a few things. I've had some people who've either renamed their business, or who just after they found out about the numerology of their business name, they're like, oh, no wonder it was so misunderstood, and then I'm getting rid of it, right? Because it just wasn't projecting what it was. And now if I look at this, it kind of resonates with me. I can see that it was the energy that it was placing out there was not the same energy that I intended it to be. So yes, I think it's a good tool as an additive, right? It's not the end all only thing, in my opinion, but in my opinion, there is nothing that is an end all only thing. I think we all have to take some of these things and make them useful in the way that makes sense to us, right? So So yes, but I've helped people, decide on a wedding date. And I won't say this one, this one, this one. I'll say, which ones are you looking at? And then we'll go through each one and go, this would be more of a day for a show wedding. This is more of a power wedding. If you're really wanting to impress your business associates, you're this and that, this opulent, this is the day. If you want it to be more of an intimate, family oriented blend, some people, oh, this is just our blended family. We just have, this will give you that energy of the day. So it's not about right or wrong, and it never is. It's more about, what do you want, right? What do you want? And then how can you place something there that will be supportive to help you with what you want?
Oh, it's so good. I could talk to you for hours and keep asking you questions. I know you have so many resources. You have courses, you have one-on-one consultations as well. What's something that, you would love to leave the listeners with when it comes to numerology, and really anything that we might have talked about or missed? And how can people really tap into this, and really, who is it for? So all those kind of questions, however you want to answer that.
Well, it's interesting. I think it's kind of obvious, but maybe not. I find that the most amazing thing about this tool is that, first of all, it can really reveal the true nature, the authentic nature of who we are, because I think you might agree with me that from the get-go, we are often told that isn't who we are. Right? When we're growing up. And that's part of the whole, cosmic package. We're not meant to just land here and for all to be a tiptoe through the tulips. We're supposed to be learning something. And so we choose these people, these experiences to teach us. And often our most difficult, challenging teachers are the ones who teach us the most, right?
Yes.
And so oftentimes I find that this tool offers us a different way to perceive.
Wow.
To perceive our engagement in our lives and in the people who we have in our lives, in the experiences that we have had, all of those things, because most of us mark our lives by the tragedies and by the difficulties. And I've got to tell you, I don't know anyone, maybe I know one or two, but not really, who feel that their life has been easy.
Mm-hmm.
No one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No one. And so on the one hand, it can give you a real window into why that is and how that is. And yet also, and this may sound a little bit cruel, but it also gives us an opportunity to get over ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Very
right?
well. Yes.
I mean, it's like, okay, now what?
Exactly. Now what?
So for me, it's a tool for understanding, for revealing our true authentic nature, if it resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a mandate,
Mm-hmm.
like I was saying, 3 life paths usually are the ones who are like, I would rather kind of die and, be run over by a train than do this. It's like, really? Okay, careful.
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to constantly be asked to do that. And if you can suddenly realize, oh, that is what I'm meant to do, and get through those blockages, there is such a glorious life to be had when you're doing that. So it's meant to understand, and it's meant to validate, just like you were saying, validate who you are and how to really move forward with the most opulent way. And then it really offers you great tools and ways to understand how to change what is not working for you.
Wow. So true. I will share, we were kind of talking about this before before we started recording, with my name being 55s and the energy of, travel and freedom. That's all very, very strong for me. And what I know I can back it up with is 4. And so even knowing something like that is so powerful. And I'm always conscious of that. And I think if you're listening to this and even curious, 100% reach out to Felicia, enroll in her courses, go through the blog. There's so much that you can learn about yourself. And the more tools we have to navigate this very confusing life that no one is given a roadmap or a rule book for, it just helps immensely and provides so much confidence. I don't know, honestly, what I would even, like, I just feel like knowing my numerology helps me navigate life with more, like you said, opulence. I just love how you said that. Mm-hmm. So where can people find you? What do you offer for those who are seeking some more support?
Anyone who is numerology curious, just head over to my website. That is FeliciaBender.com. And so all kinds of free resources there. You can find out much more about the life path number. There's a monthly forecast that's free as well. Lots of, again, a lot of free resources. If you're interested in private sessions or having your own your chart done, like you were talking about, so you know more than your life path, you can get an idea about more of that full spectrum of your core numbers. That's available. All kinds of other things there. So but it's a good place to just start and explore your life path number and see if it speaks to you.
Oh, so good. Felicia, thank you so much. Seriously, I'm like, there's so many more questions I would love to ask you. And I think this is just perfect for those maybe listening about numerology for the first time. Maybe you're a seasoned numerologist yourself. Felicia, thank you. It has been an absolute delight and honor and pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give the show a 5-star review if you feel like you learned something new today. All of the mentioned links will be in the show notes. And also, are we connected on Instagram? Find me over at _lusciousliving_ and come say hi. See you next episode.